Hello, my name is David Foxpitt and I'm going to take you through the main training preparation and kit list for the Maggie's Monster Bike and Hike. The first item we're going to talk about, boots, foot admin and making sure that your feet are going to get you through bronze, silver or gold. The most important thing is make sure that you get a boot that you're comfortable with and it's well broken in. Allow for the foot expansion. When the foot gets hot and sweaty, it expands, and a foot that's too short, the toes will come up against the end. Trim the toenails a good 2 or 3 days prior to the Maggie's Bike and Hike or training, because it takes a while for the nails to recover once they've been trimmed. Very, very important to toughen up the feet as naturally as possible. Walk around at home in bare feet, train, train, train. Use the boots that you're walking in to walk to work, walk back from work. Just use them as much as you can. Very, very important, socks. We recommend that you're changing your socks probably 4 or even 5 times throughout the Maggie's Bike and Hike. Now the reason for that is while you're walking, grit, sand, twigs, sweat get immersed into your feet, and that's what causes the blisters. So what you're trying to do here is prevent blisters, foot admin as we call it. The advantage of an ankle support boot is that it will stop all the grit and the muck from getting in and also keep the foot dry. The main objective when you're walking, as much as possible, is to keep the foot dry. Also, what I sometimes do in my spare kit bag, which is with the support team, I may have a pair of trainers or a second pair of boots. And often by changing from one set of footwear to another, you're giving your foot a break. And finally, type of sock. It's important that you choose a walking sock. You want to have at least 4 or 5 pairs of socks with you. It is also important when you feel a blister coming on, you feel a slight twinge, don't just give it another 10 miles so it gets nice, big and juicy. Deal with it there and then. And that's why the combi is so fantastic. Now to learn more about how to prep your feet, please revert to the video which will show you how to take your feet up. Now tip 2, walking poles. I highly recommend that everybody, whether you're doing the bronze, the silver or the full 40 miles on the walk, is to use 2 sticks, not 1, and use them throughout the entire walking phase. Very important to use these things properly. You put your hand in from above going downwards and then grasp the handle and then tighten the sling so it feels comfortable. Likewise with the other one. You want to have them probably just above the hip so that your lower arm is parallel to the ground. So that's a rough height that you're looking at. What I tend to do is lengthen them going down hills and shorten them going up hills. And also it's important to use the sticks properly. Basically they are an extension of your arms and your walking. So as you're going along, the sticks are being driven in behind you. That is propelling you along, and at the same time it is transferring 50 to 60% of your body weight off the ankles, the knees and the hips, which aren't used to walking this sort of distance, and will make it so much more enjoyable. We've had people end up having to walk backwards or just stop simply because they haven't had that extra help. But if you use them properly, and also zinc oxide tape on the hands to stop the blisters on the hands, absolutely fundamental. Now tip 3, chaffing under the armpits, between the legs. On these events that people on the last maybe 10-15 miles are walking in a very peculiar way, and that's because the skin has been rubbing together, sweat and heat, and it's very, very uncomfortable. So what we recommend that each walker has a jar, a nice big jar of Vaseline. I've got a slightly smaller one here, but a nice big jar of Vaseline, and apply it between the legs where the rubbing takes place. Also, from walking with poles over 15-20 hours, you can actually develop chaffing under the armpits as well. So Vaseline under the armpits, between the legs, and keep reapplying. Like sun cream, it will rub off. Another way to avoid chaffing is to use Lycra. We've got an example here, a bit like cycle shorts, well, obviously without the padding. But this will also keep the muscles nice and warm and prevent the chaffing. Right, here we are now on to tip 4, the rucksack. It's very, very important that you have a rucksack that you're comfortable with, and again that you train in it. And we're going to talk a bit about hydration here as well as nutrition. This is about a 15-litre rucksack. It's got a separate compartment for a 2 or 3 litre camelback. Here it is, obviously gravity fed, so you want it to go in upside down. The great thing about this rucksack is it's got 2 separate belts, and what these bands will do is will keep it nice and steady, and you can tighten each one so that the rucksack isn't continuously banging. If you decide to jog or walk quickly, it's not banging up and down on your back. The thing I like about this rucksack are the pouches. As you walk, your body will have cravings for different things, salty things, sweet things, chocolate cake, whatever. And what I've got is all the things I like to eat in my side pouches, in the pouches on the top here, and in the pouches on the side. And then the most important thing is the hydration. This can take 3 litres, and don't forget we have water stops along the route so you can top up. There's no need to carry the 3 litres, but it's important to make sure you're drinking at least 2 to 3 litres in between the major checkpoints. The top tip on hydration is the colour of your pee. If it's bright orange, that is an indication you're going to get dehydrated. You want to be peeing Chardonnay, nice clear Chardonnay. So that's the rucksack. Very important that you train with it, you're happy with it, and that you have all the things you need within reach when you're walking. And the idea is the momentum. Keep walking, don't keep stopping. Keep walking, eat and drink on the move. Tip 5, obviously really important. The main secret with your equipment is to maintain a constant body temperature. You will conserve so much more energy. Now, should we have a heat wave, and it does happen occasionally in Scotland, the following equipment is really important. So shorts tends to be fine. A wicking layer t-shirt. Okay, this is a wicking layer t-shirt here as opposed to a cotton which absorbs the sweats and never dries. A wicking layer t-shirt will wick away the sweat and dry very quickly and is more comfortable and will cut down on the chafing and the problems that I was talking about earlier on. I will wear a fully rimmed sun hat, not a peak cap. If I don't wear a fully rimmed sun hat, I'll get burnt ears and a burnt neck, and that will contribute towards the dehydration. So fully rimmed sun hat. I will also probably be wearing shades if it's continuously bright blue skies, and I will keep applying the sun cream. So that's what I wear for hot day. I will also have my light, this is a Montane fleece here, it's fantastic, it rolls up into the size of a small tangerine. As my temperature goes up and down, I will take this off and put it on again. Now 9 times out of 10 in Scotland, I'll tend to wear the full length trousers, which is basically the version of the shorts. They will wick away the sweat, they'll even take a couple of heavy downpours and they'll dry quite quickly. And they're also flexible, they stretch, which is important when you're moving. Again, I'll always wear the wicking t-shirt that I'm now wearing, and I'll tend to toggle between a slightly thicker fleece and the thin one I was talking about earlier on, depending whether I'm going up hills or down hills. So it's really important to maintain that constant body temperature. A woolly hat. Gloves as well. There's a couple of choices, a thin pair and there's a slightly thicker pair. Again, I tend to use those throughout the evening. Midges. One of the reasons we do the Maggie's Bike and Hike prior to the season, beginning of May, is there are no midges. Isn't that brilliant? Anyway, we also have a midge net in our kit list just in case they decide to come out earlier. Head torch for the night section. Really important to have a head torch that you're comfortable with. You've got some heavy head torches out there, but I recommend you use a light torch with spare batteries, and that everybody in your team has a torch, not just one person, because if you're behind them and they've got the head torch on, you won't see the tree roots and the obstacles going through the night. And finally, raining. As you know, occasionally it rains in Scotland. The most important item is a hood. I'll put the hood over, and it's got a wire mesh in there, so I can actually angle the hood into the oncoming weather, so that the rain is now rushing off onto the floor, as opposed to the old average anorak where it runs down the face, the top of the body gets soaked, bit of wind picks up and you get mild hypothermia. I would typically put this over just a t-shirt, and remember, maintain that constant body temperature. If you're too hot, take something off. Now, just to finish off, a few tips. You'll have a competitor number issued when you come to registration, and on the back of the competitor number will be 2 emergency numbers. Do not call 999 because we have more resources out there than the entire NHS in the district. So it's important you call the HQ, explain where you are. You'll also be issued with a map. There's numbers on the map showing you different locations and the number of miles you've covered. Give us a good indication and then we'll get some help to you as soon as possible. Mobile phone usage, again, you could be out there for 24 hours, so it's important to keep it switched off and only text when you need to use it, unless obviously it's an emergency. And we advise texting your support team as you're approaching, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes off, It gets them out of wherever they are, and they can come and meet you and show you where your car is. A whistle, I think, is also on the kit list, just to attract attention should you need it, if it's an emergency. A good watch, and my favourite is the old toothbrush and toothpaste. And it's nice to give the teeth a clean every now and then, especially when you've been drinking all those lovely sweet drinks, high five energy drinks. But just a few tips to think about on the route, and have a fantastic time.